Since the early 90s, Universal Studios Orlando and Universal Studios Hollywood have been home to Halloween Horror Nights, an event that has become synonymous with Halloween here in the US. This year, however, Universal Studios Orlando is hosting a Halloween celebration during normal park hours that is very similar to the all-day Halloween event at Universal Studios Japan. So this left me thinking, could an all-day Halloween event like the one in Japan work here in the US? Well, let's find out. Hello and welcome back to the Hauntline, the show that's typically dedicated to SoCal haunted events, but today we're going international. As you know, Halloween Horror Nights has been canceled on both US coasts, but starting October 3rd, Universal Studios Orlando is launching a daily Halloween celebration during normal park hours that includes 2 walkthrough mazes, Halloween-themed food and drink, trick-or-treating for the kids, and, of course, the Horror Nights Tribute Store. Now, this made me think 2 things. One, this reminds me a lot of what Universal Studios Japan does for their Halloween celebration. And 2, could a Halloween event like the one in Japan work here in the US? Honestly, I think it could. And it seems like a lot of you would actually be pretty open and receptive to something like this as well. I recently started a poll on Twitter, and the results were actually pretty positive. Of the 66 people who voted, 74% of them would be down for a all-day seasonal horror night celebration like the one in Japan. But now you're asking, what exactly does the Halloween celebration in Japan consist of? Well, let's break it down. For starters, their event goes all day long, with family-friendly activities during the day and scare zones at night. Every evening, the park literally transitions from a kid-friendly event during the day to Halloween Horror Nights at night. And both portions of the event are included in the normal price of admission. Now, I must confess, I have not been to Universal Studios Japan. It's definitely on the list, but I enlisted the help of somebody who has to help us break it down. I reached out to a fellow YouTuber who currently resides in Osaka, Japan. That YouTuber is food and travel vlogger Lin Nyunt. Lin, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my first video podcast, so I'm honored.
It looks like the daytime is very kid-friendly. I mean, I see a lot of families. I see a lot of people dressed up in costumes, just from your videos.
Yeah, they've got a couple of actual activities that the kids can do as well. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., they've got like an area where you can go trick-or-treating. And they've got these just rows of like Lucky Dip trick-or-treat sort of buckets. And then there's another area called Itazuka Street, and there they've got like just different activities that the kids can do. Like they can wrap up a mummy but using colorful streamers, and like have photos taken with minions. So just all like really cute things, because they've got this concept of kowa kawa, cute and scary. So yeah, it's just like, it's not scary at all. It's just like I mentioned before, the Sesame Street characters have got maybe just like vampire fangs or whatever on them.
Do families stick around in the evening, or do you see that they kind of filter out?
Yeah, I'd say that quite a lot of families do leave before the zombies come out, before the scare zones open up. So I think quite a lot of them do, but then there are quite a few areas that are still family friendly.
Because the event runs all day long, mazes and experiences basically open with the park. It looks like you can start going through mazes and experiences during the day. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so the mazes open at 10 a.m. So some of the mazes open at 10, and then some of them will open at 12. So it's kind of funny doing that sort of kind of scary experience in the middle of the day. The atmosphere isn't quite there, but it's still just a fun experience to go through and do it.
Having mazes operate all day would definitely make it easier to get through all of them without having to skip any mazes, especially for single-day visitors. And much like the current daytime celebration in Orlando, Universal Japan uses a return time system for its more popular mazes, something I wish our parks would do always.
Yeah, you don't have that?
No.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, literally, we just walk up to mazes, we see a wait time, we wait in line until we can go through the maze.
Wow,
no
that's
return
amazing.
times at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that for their popular mazes, sort of, I guess what you could call it like their flagship maze for that year.
Right.
Either one or two mazes will have that. The ticketing is done on tablet, and it's either English or there's a Japanese or English option there.
Nice.
And then you can just print out what time you want.
Do you find that it cuts down on wait times when you say that you have a return time of like noon, right?
Yeah.
You get there at noon. How long are you waiting from that point on?
For like 10 or 15 minutes. It's actually really fast because they're really efficient. Obviously, they've got just everyone arriving for their ticketed time, and so you don't have a huge crowd of people lining up. So yeah, it's a good system.
As a matter of fact, wait times for the daytime celebration in Orlando have remained short throughout the day, sometimes being as short as 10 minutes. Unlike Horror Nights Hollywood, Universal Studios Japan is very strict about camera use in the mazes, so it's been very difficult to try and find walkthroughs of these mazes. Last year, they had a maze based off of Resident Evil called Biohazard: The Extreme. They also had an original maze called Area 51 Unidentified Encounter, and a returning maze based off of the Cult of Chucky. Being the maze fan that I am, I had to ask. So how intense are they, and what are the mazes like?
I didn't think any of them were really that scary. From judging from your videos, America really sort of amps it up.
Yeah.
And so you get a few jump scares, but nowhere near the same level as I think what America has. They also time it as well. I don't know what it's like in America, but they will, you go in with a group of maybe 5 or 6 people, and then they'll have their scare actors and their guides, I guess, in the maze, and then they'll sort of stop you and then, let you continue on when the other group has gone through. I don't know whether it's like that in America.
Lin, it is not like that at all. Here, we're kind of in a conga line the whole time. They try to pulse people into the mazes, but more often than not, we end up in just literally a conga line of people.
Wow.
So the fact that they pulse and that they keep groups small is incredible. Now, it seemed like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like both Resident Evil and Area 51 had some sort of interactive element to it. Our mazes are very straightforward, very set and decor heavy, and you kind of just walk through them. Can you explain those to us?
Okay, so Resident Evil, they because it's based off of a video game, there's like the final section of the maze is a video game. So you've got like the light guns, and you're shooting at the screen, at this giant projection screen, and you're just shooting at one of the zombies, and then you've got to shoot the zombie and kill it, and then you win the game basically, and you escape the maze. And then Area 51, I can't remember. It's kind of like a puzzle. You have like a color code, like a row of buttons and different colors, and you've got to enter in the right combination or something like that, and then you can escape Area 51 in a spaceship. A couple of years ago was Insidious, The Last Key, and there was like a code that they tell you, and then you've got to remember that code at the end of the maze again, and you've got to enter that code. That's like a combination, and then you get let out of the maze again. So yeah. So there's a few interactive elements.
It was interesting to learn that scare zones in Japan are also treated a little differently than they are here in the US. Now, I noticed that crowds like to gather in scare zones and just watch. That's something that doesn't really happen here in Hollywood. You typically in our scare zones, people will just run through them and try to get to the other side. But there's a lot to look at. There's a lot to see in the scare zones in Japan.
Yeah, like I think it's partly the social media aspect. Everyone wants to like post to Instagram or whatever.
Sure.
Or a few of the scare zones, like a couple of years ago, there was a punk rock zombie scare zone.
Nice.
And so like at one point in the evening, they would do like a punk rock show.
Wow.
And then there's also the cutie scare zone, basically like anime characters, and then they are zombies, but then they do like a big dance show as well.
Wow, I love it. And then I also noticed that sometimes they'll have like I guess creatures like on parade, like with somebody dressed up, they're typically like stilt walkers, or they've got giant costumes, and they'll come out with like handlers.
There's like these four-legged creatures or whatever, and then there was like a really tall one which had like the puppet arm movements on sticks and that kind of thing. So really cool to look at, but yeah, you can't get too close.
Now, I admit, the biggest roadblock to us getting an all-day Halloween celebration like the one in Japan would be the current park ticket structure in the US. Season passes, express passes, RIP tours, and just the basic ticket structure here in the US would definitely make it very difficult for this to happen. But imagine this. You get to Universal Studios right at opening. You get a return time for all the popular mazes of the year, and your spot is secure. You get on rides throughout the day. You go through mazes with short waits, and in the evening, you get to kick back and enjoy the Halloween ambient completely stress-free. That sounds like a great time to me. But hey, a guy can dream, can't he? Well, that's going to do it for us today. Special shout out to Lin Nyunt for being part of this video. Be sure and go and follow him on all his social media. We'll have links down below. And also, let me know in the comments, would you be down for an all-day Halloween Horror Nights event here in the US like the one in Japan? Don't forget to follow us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. You can visit us on the web for links to all of our stuff. And you can also download our podcast wherever you download podcasts. And in fact, if you'd like to take a deeper dive into the Universal Studios Japan Halloween festivities, be sure and check out our full podcast episode with Lin that is releasing on October 7th, because there's a lot more to the event that we didn't cover in this video. So be on the lookout for that. And until the next time, thank you for calling the Hotline.